Hey everybody, welcome back to another DreamWorks review. Yep, we're going to be looking at another DreamWorks review. We're almost done, and then I'll be moving on to the Disney ones. I'll probably be waiting a little bit though to do those, just because, I've got a lot of stuff going on, especially with the holidays and stuff too. So I'll probably, review those later. But yeah, I'm gonna be, getting done with this here soon. After this, we got three more movies, and then I'm done. Because like I told you guys, I'm gonna stop, at the bad guys too. Because even though there isn't, Gabby's Dollhouse, I'm kind of just been so busy with stuff, and I want to kind of move on. And even though I'm taking a break, I really don't even have time to be doing... Because I don't want to have to watch a lot of these movies more than once. Because, Disney movies, I've heard, mixed reviews of some of the stuff. Although I have not seen the reviews in a long time, I have heard in the past... some people have had mixed reviews on, like, Pocahontas and even Snow White and all that. But I don't remember much about those movies. So, so they'll be interesting to watch when I get to them. But yeah, I will take a break. But don't worry, they will be getting out. Eventually, I will be going through these studios again and reviewing other movies. But I'm probably going to change it up a little bit just because, again, it's hard to kind of stick with a schedule. But, anywho, before I get any further, remember to subscribe to my channel. Make sure you guys are still subscribed. I'm over 600 subs. Thank you guys for the support. I will give you guys a reward video for 600 subs. I think I figured out what I'm gonna do. But I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait on this until, I'm not really busy with stuff. But I will get you guys that reward video here soon. Yeah, so, you guys can also follow me on Instagram and, /threads, and then Twitter, or I guess it's called X now. I need to start putting those at the end of the videos, but I literally keep forgetting to do that. But, that's pretty much all I have to say for an introduction. So, I guess I can say this too, I almost wasn't able to do this right now, because I couldn't find my DSi, but I did find my 2DS, and it turns out it actually has, the sound recording stuff saved on the system. It's actually a white one, which I think is a new Super Mario Bros. 2 one. So very fitting, for a panda who is white. I guess it's black too, and this is more red. But very fitting, very fitting. But, that's very fitting. That's kind of an iconic moment there. But, I'll be using that for the sound stuff. But anywho, for real this time, let's go ahead and actually get into this. So, speaking of Kungfu Panda, this is the fourth one. Yeah, you guys see it right there? This is the fourth Kungfu Panda movie. Fourth one. Now, you may be thinking, well, what's the big deal? Lots of franchises have had 4 movies. Toy Story has had one. Shrek has had one. Ice Age has had one. Hell, even freaking Despicable Me has a 4th movie. So what's the problem? What's the problem here? The problem is though, with this being the 4th movie is the problem is with it is, everything was kind of all wrapped up in the 3rd movie. See, we had a whole trilogy. The 1st, the 2nd, and 3rd one were focusing on Po. Because, the movie's called Kung Fu Panda, which Po is a panda, and it's about him, going on its journey and all that to become, a better fighter and cope and all that, with emotions. And we get a lot of great messages in the movie. So it feels very pointless to make a fourth movie, But here we are, the fourth movie, because, DreamWorks has got to have some money, all these studios do this. However, in this case, I don't know if this was all DreamWorks' idea, or if, because, I know the other person, the person who created the movies actually was part of this, wanting to make a fourth movie. So I don't know if they actually were all involved with it, or wouldn't be surprised if they were, because, Hollywood, banks on a lot of sequels a lot anymore, they've always kind of done this, that's why we got the prequels to, like, Star Wars and all that, too, because, they were trying to, and then that was, like, back in the, the late 90s and early 2000s, they did all, George Lucas did that, because, creating trilogy stuff. And that's the thing, this stuff can work, but again, here, I feel like it kind of doesn't, at times. And you guys will see what I'm talking about, because, in this movie, Po becomes the master and all of Kung Fu, pretty much. He masters everything. But apparently now he has to pass on the Dragon Warrior stuff to another opponent. Or, not opponent, I don't know, like I guess a student or apprentice or something. So I'm just like, basically, so you're saying Po has to do all this. I'm like, isn't he supposed to be the leader of the valley and all that? Like, it makes kind of no sense at all for them to do that. But I guess to be fair, though, he can't always be the leader of the valley, because eventually he would have to have a backup. But I still don't think it makes any sense. I don't think, they could do it like the king, like, when, if he dies or something, someone else would take his place, but apparently, it's like, they have to do all this, where he has to become, he has to, rank higher and all that, and then somebody else becomes a Dragon Warrior, which kind of feels stupid. Like, it feels kind of stupid, it's not, like, insultingly bad, but it is kind of stupid. Another thing is now this is actually insulting, is, the Furious Five, by the way, do not appear in this movie. Well, they appear, like, in the end credits, or as in cutout forms, apparently. I guess they all went off on their own adventures, according to Po. From what I can hear, the reason why they didn't appear in this movie is because of, the voice actors costing too much money. That's one thing I'll never get in Hollywood. Like, why do celebrities get paid so much damn money? I guess when a movie makes money, they should get a fair share of, profit. But some of these celebrities get paid so much shit, they actually have to, like, hire, like, cheaper actors to voice the characters, in cartoons and all that. Because we've seen this done before. Like, I think even Kungfu Panda, the TV show, did this too. I think, I can't remember, but I'm pretty sure they were sound-alikes, or at least that's what I heard about, like, that. Because I thought, like, Po was actually played by Jack Black, but apparently he was played by somebody imitating him. Which is, if that's true, that's actually quite crazy, to hear that. But yeah, you can see kind of the problem here. Again, like, pretty much all the voice actors are, like, not in the movie. Because there are a lot of celebrities that, voiced, the characters. I kind of worded that a little bit funny, but I'm just saying that's kind of pretty much what it is. A lot of voice actors weren't in the movie, and so because they couldn't be in the movie, they had to cut out the Furious Five, which the Furious Five, again, are, a very big, important part of the movie, So you may be thinking, well, what's this about then? Apparently it's about a fox who's a thief and has to go on this journey with Po to become, this, to become, she basically to go on, a journey to become, to learn to, be good, better herself and all that and correct her mistakes. She's got to correct her mistakes and all that, and, because they're apparently trying to go find the chameleon, because it reveals at the beginning of the movie that Tai Lung actually, doesn't, like Tai Lung is actually, not actual Tai Lung, it is actually the chameleon who changes into the Tai Lung. Which I gotta say is actually a pretty cool idea, having that and all that. I remember, having a prediction video, you guys can watch some of those, I did that. I actually did one about, speaking of Jack Black. Jack Black's gonna be in the, Mario Galaxy movie, too. He's gonna reprise his role as Bowser. But actually, what's ironic, I actually said that the villain was gonna be, I thought she was gonna be female, because we had 3, villains that were male. I figured they were gonna do a female one, and I did. And all that, and I will say she's pretty interesting in ways, but not as interesting as the older ones, but again, I'll get into her later, but she basically shapeshifts into Tai Lung, and all that, I guess I think she was trying to lure out Po or something, trying to get Po and all that. It's kind of weird seeing Tai Lung, though, with scales on him, but I think they kind of hinted at that. I actually didn't notice that. I watched this movie twice in the theaters, because, I had some friends who were going to go see it, too. I saw this with my friends at, Slackers, and then a couple of them, actually, no, wait, I think it was just Mick. Mick wasn't, he's one of my friends, he was actually not, he didn't work at Slackers anymore, but I went to the theater with him and watched it, and then I watched it with my friend Maddie, too. So I watched it with her too. I'm pretty sure I was with Maddie. I can't remember. I think it was Maddie. I don't remember. Yeah, I think it was. I don't know. I watched it with somebody, but yeah, I probably should have not watched it because I'm it's a 4th movie and all that. But I don't remember why I think I wanted to just do it to hang out with my friends. I don't know. Because I usually try to support, movies that are, don't have a ton of sequels to it. I don't plan on probably going to see Toy Story 5 and all that. Even if it's good, I don't really plan on going to see it, because I'm I want to support more original stuff. And I know that's kind of harder in Hollywood anymore, because there's a lot more sequels than anything, but I'm just saying, that's what I'm kind of doing and all that. And that's kind of with Shrek 5, too. I don't plan on going to the theaters and watching it either, because I want to support more original stuff. But yeah, back to the whole thing with this. Basically, yeah, like I said, the Furious 5 are not involved with this movie. This Fox and Po are going, on this journey and all that, and we get some laughs and all that, typical Kungfu Panda humor and all that, which is nice and all that, but honestly, this movie kind of just has a lot of, problems with it. I will say, I guess I can go ahead and talk about the chameleon herself. A lot of people say she's the weakest of the villains. And I will say that. However, I don't think I hate her. A lot of other people really hate this villain. I don't think she's that bad. My problem is, unlike the other villains, she's a downgrade because she really doesn't have, a backstory. And you could be well, she doesn't really need a backstory. And, true. A lot of times, villains don't always need backstories. I mean, Monsters Inc., had a villain in it, we had this, meditating, villain, named Randall, who, by the way, was very obvious he was a villain. He didn't really have a backstory and all that, so we don't really always need a backstory. I mean, that's just an example, but I'm just kind of going off movies that I've already seen, but that's the thing, that's the thing, like, there's not really much of a backstory and all, I mean, they do mention that she is not a very good Kung Fu Panda, or not a good Kung Fu fighter and all that, but it would have been nice to kind of have, like, flashbacks and all that, too, I mean, I know we're not supposed to sympathize with the villains always, but I'm just saying, yeah, I don't know. I'm just saying, like, it would have been nice to kind of have a little bit of, I think a backstory would have been kind of nice. Kind of see, her past and all that, because we don't really know a lot about her past. We have, like, glimpses of it in the movie because she mentions it and all that, but I kind of would have liked more of that, because again, it kind of would have felt more like a Kung Fu Panda movie. But I really don't hate her. I do really like that, like, she can change and all. The final battle is really good. They got that, and then the fighting and the humor is pretty good. And then I will say, having, her use the villains coming back is kind of nice and all that in a way. Sort of. Because, I mean, I will say, there are times where, they do this concept and it can fail. Like, for example, the sequel trilogy of Star Wars. I know I'm talking a lot about Star Wars, but Star Wars also does a lot of these, sequels and all that, and prequels, and they made a lot of movies, So I'm kind of just using them as an example, but they decided to bring back all the actors, in the movies, and they basically shit all over them and turned, made their characters kind of unlikable and out of character. In this movie, they don't ruin the characters, but they really don't play a role. They don't really do anything. And again, I know throwing in Star Wars in there is kind of, feels out of nowhere, but that's kind of what it reminds me of, it just reminds me of, like what, and again, that's just an example. I don't know if, like, Despicable Me 4 does that or not, because I haven't seen that movie. I think I've seen some glimpses of it, but I haven't, because I saw that, like, there was, like, a prison scene and all that, but I really haven't seen the movie, so I don't know. I guess I'm just going off that, but that's kind of, again, what that reminds me of. They throw in all these villains and all that for nostalgic stuff, like, they're all nostalgic. They throw them all in there as nostalgic. And they don't really do anything. Like, they don't have any voice lines either. The only one that does is Tai Lung. Lord Shang, it doesn't have, voices. And somehow General Cry is in the movie, even though his body freaking, got obliterated by Poe in the spirit world. Somehow he's still there. Like, somehow he's still, there. I don't, it doesn't make any sense. Like, you can tell, again, they were trying to throw in nostalgic. Like I said, they can make it work at times, because, like I've said, they have failed with the sequel trilogy, with Star Wars and all, but they can make it work, too. Heck, actually, another thing, speaking of Disney and all, what it reminds me of? There's a show called House of Mouse. And they also throw in a lot of the villains and all that in there too. Now, I haven't seen the show, but I hear it's pretty good. And, in that case, I'm like I said, if they could have done more with it, I think it would have been nice. But yeah, I think what they should have done with them, with this is kind of do it like that, like have them have some voice lines and make them actually do something because they don't do anything. I mean, Poe kind of, Tai Lung kind of just insults Poe and all that in the movie. I do like he gets speaking roles, but again, he kind of just is there and all that, and we don't even see, again, General Cry, which, like I said, again, he should have been freaking gone, or, Lord Shang, doing, like, we don't see them fight. Like, it would have been nice if they teamed up with Poe, and they teamed up with Poe and ended up fighting. That would have been kind of nice. Instead, they kind of are just in the cage and all that, like, locked in the cage. Yeah, it's just kind of, like, all of that kind of feels, kind of upsetting, to watch. But that's kind of how the movie is. The movie, like, this movie has a lot of, like, things. It has problems with it, a lot of problems. But I'm going to go ahead and give this one a meh. I know I'm kind of, jumping right, like, I'm kind of just jumping to this out of nowhere, but I really don't have much else to say. I think the final fight was really good. It was really good. But, yeah, this movie definitely is meh. I don't hate it, but I don't like it either. I think it's in the middle because, again, this movie had so much to, work with, and that's the problem. I don't like that they don't have the Furious Five in there. I don't like that I like that they brought back the villains, except for General Cry. I don't see, again, why they brought him back, but, I wish they actually gave, them more speaking roles and all that. And seeing them kind of their redemption arc, like them just accepting Poe and all that, it feels kind of rushed and forced. Like, it doesn't feel like it makes much sense. But yeah, it doesn't really make much sense. I kind of wish they actually, like, we got Tai Lung kind of talking, in the background, like he's saying, well, like, did I really sound like that and all that? So they were kind of trying to do redemption arc. But that's the thing, though. I kind of wish, again, they did more with the characters. They were kind of just there. We had some other speaking roles, some other characters, too. But, again, it kind of felt kind of like they could have done more with them. But, again, the fights were really good. The fights in the movie were good and all that. But I also hated that which, by the way, I thought about putting this as a fun fact. But I really don't really think it was really a fun fact, but I probably could have put it. But apparently, this movie also, by the way, does not have a custom intro. I know it's taking me this long to bring it up, but I kind of wanted to just talk about the movie first. But yeah, this movie does not have a freaking custom intro. All the other ones had a custom intro. Like, it would have been kind of cool to see Poe and all that, or something, like, maybe they're, like, kung fuing the moon or something, and Poe kicks it, or something, and then it goes flying, or something, maybe the boy, maybe the boy, like, goes flying and all that, and then, like, maybe they could, like, have, I don't know, they could have, like, the moon boy flying and all that, and then, like, the Furious Five, because, they make cameos, and then they could have had them in the intro, like, trying to, like, stop it. Maybe Tigress has an angry look on Poe's face, and be like, like, she's like, really, like, did you have to do that, like, do it that hard? I don't know, it just seems like, I know that's kind of a funny, way of, talking about an intro, but that would have been more interesting, than having, just it play the normal, DreamWorks intro. Which I'm gonna say, going through this so far, I'm gonna say I actually don't mind it. I know a lot of people do hate it, but, I don't mind it. I actually think, I kind of like that it's like a dream-ish effect. Like, it has a dream, effect to it. But I do kind of wish there were more effects to it compared to the other ones. But I think I'll probably talk more about it more at the end, too, because I'm actually going to probably put that, as part of my, facts and all that. But, like pointing out things about the movies and all that. But before I continue any further, I'm also planning on giving it a score, because I want to get the score, thing too. Okay. I don't know what happened there again. I hate that. It's like it turns like that. Sorry, guys. I don't know why it does that. But yeah, I'm going to give it 57 points. Yeah, so this one's getting kind of a meh. Because that's the thing too. Like I said, this movie kind of does things I like, and it does things I don't like. I like that it still has very good fighting in it. It has a good villain in it. Again, I know people don't like the chameleon much, but I actually don't mind the chameleon. I don't mind her much. I actually think she's a good villain. I think she would have been a lot better again if she actually kind of had more of a story, a backstory. Like showing her greed and all that. That would have been kind of nice. But she's actually not a bad villain. She's a pretty good villain. Just not a great one, because compared to what we've had before. But I do really like her shape-shifting and her motivation. She wants to steal Kung Fu from all the other fighters. I do like that. But I don't like that they don't have the Furious Five in here and all that. I don't like that, and I don't like how I don't like either how they have they don't have the Furious Five in there, and then, like I said, they don't have a custom intro. Also, the movie is very predictable a lot of the times, too. I haven't brought that up either, but it's predictable. Of course, the fox is going to betray Po, and I figured she was probably an orphan, or something like that. It was very predictable on what was going to happen. But I did like some of the jokes. I liked seeing, Po, fighting with the bowls and all, and then going into this shop, this, a typical, shop, because, normally bowls would, break glass and all that. That's just seeing him going in there trying to not break anything is pretty funny. But yeah, I think jokes like that are pretty funny, but again, the whole point, I think this movie was just it definitely doesn't feel like it was necessary to make it. There wasn't really a reason to make it. It's basically, compared to, Toy Story 4, or, Ice Age, 4. Ice Age 4, we get to see Peaches, get older and all that. We get to see, Manny having to accept, not worry about her and all that. It feels kind of, right there, and that movie I actually liked. Toy Story 4, I hated. I told you guys I hated that movie because I hated what they did to the characters, and I didn't like, again, like I said, I didn't like that Woody, the way Woody was handled. I didn't like that they put he wasn't in charge of the toys anymore. It felt very sloppy. It had a good idea, and it felt like it had a reason to exist. A lot of people say it didn't. I think it could have worked if they made the characters more likable and had more screen time. Because it has a similar problem with this movie where they pretty much push most of the characters aside. I mean, they're in the movie, the potato heads are in the movie, and so is Slinky, but they push them aside. Where this movie, the Furious Five, are just not in the movie pretty much at all, So, there's that, but also, like I said, it was a bad movie. I did a whole review on it, and I got a lot of people apparently are very mixed on the movie. A lot of people say it was actually a very good movie. Some people say they hate it. It was very mixed. But I was the one who didn't like it. This movie, though, it seems like a lot of people either think it's meh or bad. A lot of people think it's bad. I think it's okay. I think this movie's okay. It's definitely not good like Ice Age 4, which I think I gave a good. But also, it's definitely not bad it's not bad like Toy Story 4. But Kung Fu Panda, the fourth movie, yeah, it's not, yeah, it's definitely not that great compared to, the older, the other old, the older movies and all that. And I would say, unlike those two, like I said, I don't think it really needed to exist, but it exists. It's, it's here, and there it is. But hey, at least it's better than Megamind 2, which was a movie it came out, before it. But to be fair, I mean, pretty much anything that DreamWorks has made up to this point has been better than that. Because that movie was absolutely dog shit. At least this one is better. But, I mean, it's not saying much, but, it's not a good comparison, but, I mean, I did give you guys comparisons to, like, other stuff. But yeah, I mean, I can understand kind of why people, I can understand why people don't like this movie much. Compared to, like I said, to a Toy Story 4, me not liking it, I don't get why people like it. But I mean, again, like I said, nothing against people's opinions. I just don't see why people don't like it. I mean, why people like it. That's my own opinion. And then Shrek the Third, I don't see why people hate that, Like it has some bad moments in it, but it wasn't bad. But again, like I said, I just respect people's opinions. In this movie, I can see why people might not like it, But, yeah. But, I mean, I've been doing a lot of comparisons in this movie, but this movie kind of does follow a lot of, problems of a lot of other, sequel movies and all that. That's why I've been doing comparisons to it. But yeah, I think it's probably about time I let this video go. I mean, this review is already like 32 minutes long. Longer than it should be. But, well, I'm going to try not to, drag the other review on, next time. Yeah, the next time we'll be reviewing The Wild Robot, though. But anywho, see you guys later. This is Dash Soul Rose, out.